speaking with Emmet Cohen, doing the Future Stride with Emmet Cohen. New album. In addition to the Future Stride, Emmet, we also want to thank you because we haven't really talked since 2020. Because the last time I actually saw each other was at Birdland, January of 2020.
Wow.
We ran into each other
right before.
Yeah, right before everything changed. And the Masters Legacy series that you started with Benny Golson, 2D Heath, and Ron Carter and Jimmy Cobb. Talk about that, because before you, the last person to really do that was Oscar Peterson, to play with people who were a generation or two generations ahead of them and make that bridge happen. And so I was so happy when you did that, because really you introduced a whole nother world of folks to George Coleman and to 2D Heath and Benny Golson. So thank you for doing that, man. What inspired you to do it?
Well, we've kind of come, my generation's kind of come in a post, trying to join someone's band and get on the road. There's no Art Blakeyans, Jazz Messengers to join. There's no Miles. There's no Ray Browns. No Betty Carter. These are the things that the generation before me aspired to, and that doesn't really exist in this time. And life is always changing. So it's not something to say like, oh, if only I lived at this time. I'm never one to do that. I'm saying, well, what can we do now? And I had one experience when I moved to New York, playing with the Dizzy Gillespie alumni band. We rode down on New Year's to Washington, D.C. And I was sitting catty corner on the bus from Jimmy Heath, and he was like, when Charlie Parker came over to my house, I lent him his horn. I followed him to the gig so he wouldn't pawn it. And John Coltrane, he walked like this, and he came in and he was so nervous, and he played this alto saxophone. They played in my big band, and Benny Golson too. He was talking about all this stuff in Philly, and my older brother played modern jazz quartet, and I was like, I'd read about the stuff and watched some documentaries and heard about it, but I was like, oh, it just made it so much more real. It made it so much more meaningful to me. Like, whatever I learned in jazz school, whatever I learned from reading and all that stuff, it just made it like come to life. Like, he made all of the meaning of the music for me come to life. And especially in the subsequent time I spent with him and playing with him, and being around him and his brother, and seeing them at the Vanguard, and how they treated the audience, how they treated each other, how they treated the music, how they infused life with humor. And I said, the real lesson, this is the real lesson here. What can I do to get closer to this generation? And so I went to, got to try to meet all of the jazz masters, and tried to meet them in succession, one at a time, and develop a personal relationship with them, not only so I could meet them and learn from them, but so I could bring my whole generation closer. And so I did a series of recordings with as many jazz masters as I could, and live performances and gigs, and I called it gigs and interviews. I call it the Masters Legacy series, and everyone from Sheila Jordan to Houston Person to Mary Stallings to George Coleman, Benny Golson, Ron Carter, Buster Williams. It's about all of them and bringing them together with the people: Russell Hall, Kyle Poole, Brian Carter, Joe Saylor, Evan Sherman, Yasushi Nakamura, Godwin Louis, Benny Benack, and Bruce Harris. And bringing my generation and my people closer, and trying to create something that's bigger than just me learning from Jimmy Heath on the bus, but in a more grand scale, and so that that's the way that the music is preserved. That's the way that the realness and the authenticity of how we play the music can be preserved as well.
But thank you for doing that, Em. I really appreciate that, because like I said, just the last time that I had been done with Oscar Peterson 60 plus years ago, and he did the same thing you did, just to make sure that those folks were properly documented for that next generation. So you doing it now for this one is just really remarkable for you doing that.
You're always spinning the records and being an advocate for us and what we're trying to do, Derek. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you too, man. So for folks who are, because this is our pledge drive, it's Jazz Appreciation Month. For folks, what can they do to support us as broadcasters and support you as an artist? What can they do?
Continue to enjoy the music, continue to tell people about it, continue to play it for your kids, for your children. If you have children, play this radio station to them growing up. Play the music of Oscar Peterson, Louis Armstrong, and Dexter Gordon, and Cedar Walton, and Fats Waller, and Fats Navarro, and Jelly Roll Morton and Herbie Hancock and McCoy Tyner and John Coltrane, and tell the people these names, to speak about the people, speak about the ancestors, and continue to support musicians who are out here doing it now too. I named the people that we learn from, but it's important to go to the clubs, to show up, to decide who you like, to follow people, to to spread the word, even other currencies these days, shares on and likes on Instagram, Facebook. There's so many forms of currency now. That really helps people as well. Watch, go on a YouTube dive and check them out. We do these live streams in the house, and they're for everyone to kind of look at and interact with and listen to and get to know new artists. And that's been one of my goals, especially lately. Last week we did a celebration for Women's History Month, and I had some artists that I was able to introduce to our audience who've been tuning in for a year. We had Roxy Koss play tenor saxophone. We had
Nice.
Marielle Bildstein trombone. We had Leah Grigorian from Armenia and Russia on piano.
Wow.
And so I split the piano chair up, and Benicia Gould, a talented vocalist, and just continue to know the musicians on the ground floor and the people who have been out here and been playing at Smalls and Fat Cat and Smoke and all the other little places that struggle hard to keep the culture alive in this environment.
Yeah.
Pre, during, and post pandemic as well.
Yeah. Speaking with Emmet Cohen. So Emmet, we also have a lot of younger folks who are tuning in for the first time. People are 15, 16, 17 years old who are just getting into the music. What advice would you give them?
I would give them the advice of, listening to the music with their friends. That's it's about the community, and a lot of times we find that the people who are that age are the ones that play music, and you don't have to play music to appreciate the music. And it helps, especially with that age, to find someone cool who's playing, someone who's dressed, right, or hip, and someone who's playing stuff. I always think about the attention spans are so much different than they were in the past. Yeah. Because we have all the digital stuff, all the phones, all the computers, all the pace of life, email culture, all this stuff. And maybe it falls on the musicians to play shorter songs. Maybe it falls on the musicians to engage in different ways. And so, I'd say to anyone who's growing up and loving the music, it's a cool thing. It's cool. It's good to be cultured. It's good to read books. It's good to listen to vinyl records. It's good to to expand and get away from the telephone 2 inches from your face. And I tell myself that every day. And some days I listen, some days I don't, and it's a struggle. And that's a struggle of our generation, and every generation has had some struggles. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you turned 31 this year?
Yeah, in May I'll be 31. Man.
It's crazy, man. 10 years we've been doing this. Speaking with Emmet Cohen.
Moved to New York 9 years ago.
Yeah, man. So for folks who are just tuning in, so Mondays, what's going on every Monday at 7:30? What's it called?
We got Live from Emmett's Place. And
all right.
It's our own version of a Harlem rent party in Harlem, of course. And Russell Hall and Kyle Poole are in the house band, and we expand out, and we've been inviting different musicians to come and play with us and be a part of our musical family. And we invite everyone out there to come and be part of our musical family as well on the other side. And hopefully when things get back to normal, we'll be able to expand this and do some great things with this community in person as well.
Wonderful. And for folks who want to learn more about you, where can they go? What's the website?
Oh, my website is it's emmetcohen.com. That's EMMETCOHEN.com. Or you can spell a messed up version of it into Google and still probably find it. And you can find on Facebook and all the social media channels, Instagram. We go live on Facebook and YouTube every Monday night. Even if we're traveling now, we try to air a concert from where we're going, and try to keep it going and try to keep that sense of community happening, especially when there's not much else in the world. So
yeah,
it's been a mission of ours, and it's been a great testament to the music and the power of Black American music, of jazz, of creative improvisation, old music, and it's been a testament to those things what kind of community it can bring, how much it can help humanity and people in the world, and bring meaning to lives, especially
Name of
mine
the game.
and yours.
Yes. Yeah, man. So last question, Emmett. So you had a chance to go over to Russia. What was that like? Go over in this world we live in and travel overseas, go to Russia and that whole vibe. What was that like?
Yeah, we've been on a couple of journeys. You know, I've probably been on maybe 20 planes during the pandemic so far.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been to Aspen, we've been to Savannah, we've been to Kalamazoo, Michigan, we've been to Vermont. We're going to Miami and Orlando. So we've been bringing the music to people safely, and sometimes you travel somewhere, you just do a live stream. But we also went to Europe in October of 2020 and did 4 countries and figured out kind of the loopholes of how to get around that as an American citizen. And this past month, we went to Russia, 4 cities in Russia, and you know, brought some swing and brought some music to these people who haven't seen any American musicians or any musicians outside of their own culture for a year. And it was just, there was an exchange between the musicians as well, so we got a chance to play and double bill with some Russian musicians. So there was just cultural exchange, and politics aside, you know, the people on the ground level who are playing the music, who are listening to this music, you know, there are pure people, they're good people, and they need it. You know, whatever's going on on the upper levels, you know, that's for another discussion of another day. But you know, the people on the ground floor, they're just humans and they need the music. And I realized that when we played these concert halls, it was very special. And and I think it'll continue to be special, you know, as things get back towards normal. And the music will help us get to that normal.
There it is, man. Emmet Cohen, name of the album is called Future Stride. EmmettCohen.com. Thank you, my man, for doing what you're doing and keep on keeping on.
Derek, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to talk to you as always. You're one of the great ones out here promoting the music. You know about it. You're able to hear it. You know how to speak to the musicians, and we love you and respect you. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. So